big companies are already doing this. They're not going to wait to implement AI. It's us in this middle part of America that we have to realize this is where it's going. And if you run a business, you have got to jump in. Otherwise, you are going to get left behind.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Born to Tint podcast. I'm Ricky. I'm glad to be here with my big brother, Josh.
What's going on, everyone? Today we had another very fun conversation with Erik Pendleton with Rewired Technologies and on AI and the implementation that they've been doing with us and other businesses in the industry. There are guys when it comes to marketing and implementing technology. Check it out.
Gardner's like maybe a first and a fourth or something. But they also had
Aubrey
to pay.
Sucked too.
They had to pay Micah.
Oh, Pittman went off, though, and McBride did good.
Yeah, McBride. He's a beast.
The Dallas.
He doesn't score enough touchdowns, though.
Metcalf killed me, and fucking Taylor had his first bad week of the season.
Yeah, JT. Yeah, he only has 4 games of 3 touchdowns.
Dude, I've been stomping.
Going into this week, he was like right on the pace for the touchdown record, LT's touchdown record.
He'll get back to it. He drafted second overall.
Everybody talks shit, too. ChatGPT actually told me to choose him.
Well, you probably could have got him later, but second overall, I mean, you hit.
No, he would know because I would have took him second in the second round.
Snake?
Yep.
Like last second, right as the draft was starting.
But still,
I'm like,
second
who should
overall
I pick?
with Chase and Gibbs and a lot of the guys, Saquon.
Yeah, but now he has to tell you who he drafted in his third round. Who was it?
No, it was second. Second round.
You're not helping yourself.
It was worse. So then I decided the answers it was giving me for my next pick were like weird, and everybody was talking shit about that pick. So I'm like, I'm just going to open the Sleeper app and just go off.
Best player available?
Yeah, but instead of looking at ADP, average draft position, right? It was pulled up to trending. And Amari Cooper had just signed with the Raiders.
It's great.
That's awesome.
And everybody was like, what the fuck?
Everybody's like, cool.
Oh, I was
That's
great.
so sick. Well, the
it was
ADP
bad.
on Sleeper is cool because it's
pretty good.
It's a conglomerate of all of the platforms.
Yeah.
So it's not just their ADP. It's ESPN and Yahoo. And
Yeah, so I've got the most points scored this season so far, and the whole rest of my draft was just ADP on Sleeper, just kind of which position to go after next. I'm doing good, and I haven't watched any football.
That's why in my league, I refuse to, as the commissioner, I refuse to let you use the rankings that the system gives you. So then it's every player's listed alphabetically. Like it's not like, oh, this guy should be this value or that. So it forces you to actually know the player.
It's messed up.
We did in person physical, so you still had to put a name on a board. It took forever,
and it wasn't getting updated. So if you don't know who's off the board, and you had, I think we did 2 minutes.
Yeah, there was a time
because
limit.
people were taking advantage, and we're like, no, 2 minutes, it skips you, and then when it gets back to you, you have 2 minutes to pick 2 people if you can. So it helped. I think it passed 1 or 2 people where they just took too damn long. It's like, sorry.
And I was even still trying to use chat a little bit. Like I'd take a picture of the board and ask it who I should pick next, but it wasn't able to handle that.
I did that when my wife's lease was up, and she needed a new whip. We got her nice SUV VW, and you prep on all of the numbers on the lease agreements and whatever when you go in. And you think but they always throw something extra at you, and they were trying to roll net negative equity from my prior lease into my new lease. So the guy brings the printout and he's like, all right, here are the numbers. And I was like, oh, well, let me think about it. And he took it with him. So then he came back again. I'm like, hey, leave the numbers this time. And all I did was take a photo and put it in ChatGPT. And he's like, hey, say exactly this. And I did that. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll get that line item removed for you. And it saved me like 2 G's on my lease.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That is too funny. Well, speaking of AI, so Sierra is live, correct?
Sierra's live, baby.
Yeah. So she's answering our phones after hours and on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And you can put her in the game a couple different ways, but I think, for the audience, AI, there's a lot of noise around AI. Everybody thinks it's like, oh man, this company's got their own AI solution, and that company's got their own AI solution, and this one does inside sales, and this one does operations, and this one does lead gen follow-up. So I think what's important to understand, just within the marketplace, you have 7 main AI companies. You've got XAI or Grok. You've got, of course, ChatGPT or OpenAI. You've got Anthropic. You've got DeepSync, which is Google AI or Gemini. So, when a business like a Rewired says, hey, we've got AI, it doesn't mean that I've built my own AI to compete with ChatGPT. Like, that's unrealistic. So you're leveraging one of those 7 platforms. You're picking kind of your horse for the race. And then what you're doing is you're building an AI agent that integrates with those various different generative versions of AI that then executes on an objective. So with Sierra, it's backed by OpenAI or ChatGPT. It's ChatGPT 5. And we picked OpenAI because they're the ones that are aggressively expanding and maturing their tech rapidly. They're all doing that, but we really like the direction that they're heading. So as the ecosystem updates within OpenAI, we're going to be able to retroactively grandfather Sierra in on all of these new iterations. So she's just going to continue to get smarter with the tech as it evolves. But it's not just, oh yeah, it's ChatGPT. That's the brain, right? The generative version. That's like and generative being like, it's generating a response. You prompt it, it generates something back. You ask it to build you, an image, it generates that image. So the generative AI, these 7 different platforms, those are basically the brains that you're picking. And then once you've made your selection there, then like the independent tech company is building an agent that works in unison with that generative AI to accomplish an objective.
You're already prompting it ahead of time specifically for the task you're wanting it to do.
Exactly. So it's like 3 different layers of engineering. Your primary foundation is OpenAI. Then on top of that is a layer of engineering that's all window film specific. How much to tint a 4-door VW Bug, right? Like, we're teaching it to, not get tripped up by things like that. Or, hey, you install window film for architectural on the inside, not on the outside. Like, or this is what the install process looks like. This is what the prep looks like. So it's got that second layer of engineering that's all window film specific. And then the third layer is specific for Green Valley window tint, or specific for that given dealer. And you guys are familiar with Zapier, right? Like, for the audience, you connect softwares via webhooks. So if you want to connect your QuickBooks to your high level, well, there's a native integration. But if there's not a native integration, you leverage a webhook called Zapier, which connects to like pretty much everything. So within the AI realm, there's a Zap equivalent called N8N. So how you build a generative, or how you build an agentic AI, the agent portion, right? Agentic, AGENT, is you can do custom GPTs in ChatGPT, but you're like building that technology and then you're N8Ning it into the generative, or like your Zapier. And then that's what gives it agency. So it's really cool because the number one part of the landscape that is going to be, marked as, let's say, obsolete, that AI is going to take over, is inside sales. That is the gold rush. Every single AI creator, AI, agentic agent creator, that's where they're rushing toward, is to solve for that. Hey, what happens when somebody calls predominantly a service-based business?
Yeah, no, it's, how long do you think it'll take for people just to be okay with that? Because we've had plenty of calls in, no problem, but then we also have had a few customers that were like, almost went somewhere else. I hate talking to a computer. I want to talk to someone. How long until you think that it is so smooth that people are not going to be able to tell that they're even talking to AI?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's really quick, within like the next 18 months probably. Because if you look at 18 months ago, like even some of like the JRE, like Joe Rogan fakes you'll see in shorts on YouTube, you could tell pretty much right away that like, hey, it's not really him saying it, or like you could hear that. Now, if you look at some of those, they fool people left and right.
Yes, Sora's insane. If they weren't so outrageous, you would believe it was real.
Yeah, and AI has the hallucinations, right? So it'll go off the wire, or like Sora is really bad with like the hands, but like it's in its infancy, this tech, and they're working on it. But to your question in particular, well, people didn't like the internet at first. I don't want a website. I just want to list my business in the yellow pages. And
I'm never going to email.
Exactly. And then, it's kind of like it's the new internet is how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, no, don't disagree with that.
I think right now and I don't even know if we're doing this yet or not, so that's a good question. The text responses, I think that will be the thing that gets replaced the fastest, because that's where you're not going to have the awkward pauses in the conversation or repeats,
Mhm.
because that's where chat is already dominant. Like if I'm just using it myself and
Sure.
trying to have a conversation with it, what it writes back is typically pretty spot on.
Mhm.
Is Sierra doing that yet? So is it just answering the call part, or is there some way to integrate it into the flow of responding when it's someone sends a DM or a text?
Yeah. So you put Sierra in the game based off of specifically how you want her to engage your incoming calls. So you could have like a 30-second call timeout, phone rings 4 or 5 times. If your reps can't get to it, it forwards to Sierra. She takes the call, she inputs everything into FilmFlow. Once she inputs into FilmFlow, there's an automated text follow-up system that confirms the best email address, and then we're adding an extra layer, which is going to confirm first and last name spelling. So then like your data's, procured in your system. What you're talking more so about is like OpenAI corresponding directly with your clientele via the SMS. And there's like with anything new, the legislation is behind the actual execution of the technology. So you'll get robocalls, we all get robo spam calls, but you're actually technically not supposed to be doing that. There's legalities behind it, and they need to really upgrade or update the legislation to kind of be familiar with some of the new tech out there. So there's ways you can leverage it, but very much in the future, the first iteration of Sierra here is like, hey, it's 24/7 support. If you're doing auto only, it can book all your estimates or all your installs for you because everybody comes to the shop. Flat glass is a little different because there's logistics to concern yourself with. Are you on this side of town versus that side of town? So the first iteration of Sierra is Sierra at 90% is 100% better than your calls going missed. So let's just make sure we don't miss anything. That's number one. The second or next phase is going to be, hey, all of these leads that we've corresponded with that haven't picked up, drop them into this deal stage, right? And maybe it'll be like Sierra follow-up deal stage. Then Sierra will have agency to call them and talk to them, text them and talk to them, and then that will all be happening for you, bubbling things back up to your connected bucket, right? Oh, hey, Josh, I see that we finally got you interested in X, Y, and Z, and now you might be wanting a quote. Let's connect you with Ricky, and we'll get a consultation booked, right?
That's more what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. I know it. Yeah, and that's that right there is going to be the key differentiator behind, putting your inside salespeople to work in your business outside of the manual efforts of calling, texting, emailing, and so on.
Yeah, the AI does most of the time-consuming footwork of getting it warmed back up, and then feeds it to the human so they can spend their time on just having the conversation to close the deal or schedule the consultation.
Yep. And to Ricky's point about, hey, I don't want to talk to an AI, that's not lost on us. Of course we get that. That's why if you ask Sierra, she's going to say, oh, I'm virtual assistant here to help. She doesn't say at the beginning of the call, hey, I'm an AI agent and everybody's busy right now. That's why you're talking to me. But if you listen, and you guys listen to your recordings, I know you do, but every single input that Sierra puts into FilmFlow has a link where you have the full recording.
Yep.
And you can go through those. And what we've found is that at least 6 or 7 out of 10 don't call her out for being an AI, don't say she's an AI, don't have an issue with it. Then you get that minority that's like, oh, hey, I just want to talk to somebody. And for Sierra after hours, it's like, hey, obviously it's not operating hours. We're closed, but I can help answer questions about us, your project, your practical applications for film, and then I can have the real agent call you in the morning. That whole process, I think 18 months to 24 months is going to be completely controlled environment. It's going to be indistinguishable. The voice synthesizing, it's going to be indistinguishable from a human. Thinking about ChatGPT as a whole, people prompting it every day is only making it smarter. It's the same version of your Green Valley Sierra versus ATD Sierra and all our other clients that are using it. It's getting smarter about answering Green Valley's questions. So, there's that element of, maturation that it undergoes as well.
Just thinking about this. So if I were to make it, if I go through those leads and I listen to all of them and maybe there's a situation where it's all right, I don't like the way this sounds. Do I shoot feedback to you about that? Or will there ever be a point where it's I guess sounds kind of weird, but like sit down and not really schedule a meeting, but I set time for myself. Like, all right, go through these calls, and then me prompt Sarah, like, all right, instead of saying this is what you should be saying, like, or is that just should I just always send that to you?
Yeah, well, we do that version on like the controller side.
Okay.
You know, it's not necessarily going to optimize if you're prompting it as the consumer, because remember, it's an agent and its objective is to talk to the consumer and then bubble it up or tee it up. So we would do that on the back end, but every single, like, one thing that was really interesting, and these are just the little nuances of working with AI. We couldn't get it to stop saying 3 meters instead of 3M. Like, no matter how many times we're like, no, listen, bitch, this is 3M, not 3 meters. And it would still do it. The differentiation between flat glass films and auto tint, right? Oh, we can put tint on your home. Okay, I know you can say that, but like that, I kind of cheapens it in my mind. Like, we're talking about architectural films that have a lot of applications. It's not just tint for your car.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, this is like the precipice of what we're undergoing, and we can only do so much training with just us prompting it. You have to get it into the wild. We've got like 50 something clients on it now, and they're all having it prompt. It's used, it's inputting. Everybody's giving us feedback. Hey, I want it to say this. Hey, I don't want it to say that. Hey, I want it to input this way. I don't want it to input that way. So like you guys and our primo clientele, we're trying to digest all that feedback and build it in. And that's the really cool thing about it being film specific for our industry, is like we're getting a jump start on all of this like teaching that we're giving it, and it's open AI that we're teaching. So it's just going to get smarter. And then when we get ChatGPT 6, like all of those insights are going to stay and the intelligence is going to increase. And then, you know, now we've kind of got the snowball rolling down the hill, so to speak.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and at the rate that they're improving on their end, yeah, I think you're right. I think we're less than 2 years away.
Well, Anthropic, for like the Claude Opus models, they're doing really good stuff. Most of their tech is like more geared toward coding though, which is really interesting. Sorry for the software developers out there. I mean, you can use it to like do 90% of the work now and then procure the last 10%.
They can just do a lot more.
Exactly. That's all my buddies in dev that are like CTOs are like, I have 2 dev guys. I have one dev guy who refuses to use AI and it takes him 5 times longer to do a project. And I have another dev guy who uses AI for 85% of it and then does the last 15%. Who do you think I'm going to continue to employ?
Yep.
You know?
That's it. I mean, it's not AI that's taking your job. It's you not being willing to use the new tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
refusing to evolve with the times. Like, it's not going anywhere. If you already have the knowledge of what needs to be done, you can do it manually. That's great, because now you're going to know how to use it and talk to it and prompt it correctly to get the result you're looking for. Yeah, it might not give you 100% right now, but it's going to get you almost there. And then you go in and take care of that last 15, 10%. To where all that time spent to get to that 85% is now gone, and now you can turn over projects even faster.
Yeah, and I see both sides of it, because if you're a developer like and you know your shit, like it must be a pretty crummy feeling to be like, all of my insights that I've learned and been educated on, now it's like, oh, this machine just does it for me, you know, and it probably, let's say, does it do as perfect of a job? You know, tabs versus spaces, I don't know, you know, but like I can see their side of the perspective of like, hey, it's my trade and it's kind of being like engineered out of my hands. But at the same time, there's no stopping this at this point. Those 7 companies are all chasing each other for that like quantum AI breakthrough. And whoever gets there first is going to make Google's market share and revenues look like child's play.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the biggest monopoly in tech ever. Whoever, you know, says, hey, we've cracked the code and we've got the best AI.
And then we work for the machines.
No, then
Skynet.
young people realize that they need to learn a physical trade that AI isn't going to replace very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's already a lot of those job openings now. I mean, that leans into kind of a strength for us on the academy on teaching people how to tint. Even how good the robots are getting, they're not going to be able to tint for a while.
No, for sure. There's a booth right over there. It's talking about trade. Like in 3 years, there's going to be 21,000 or 21 million trade jobs that people don't want to do or people aren't educated to do. So I think like the things you do physically, like I think that's not going away anytime soon. I think it's actually companies like what my company does with like the ads and the optimizing things and understanding how all the tech plugs together. In the future, when you're a savvy, medium-sized business owner, you're going to go to Facebook and you're going to be like, hey, here's my website. I want customers for solar film.
Yeah.
And Meta's going to do it all for you. It's going to build your content with a Sora, equivalent. It's going to build your images with a Mid-Journey equivalent. And then it's going to build your audiences. It's going to build your insights. It's going to leverage its data. You'll just click one button and you'll have Meta ads.
Yeah.
So that's why for us at Rewired, being on the precipice of the AI is so important, because we don't want to be doing something that's obsolete. Our goal, like one of our core values as a business, is innovate. So we want to be on the cutting edge of it. But like when we got into this space just from the paid ads, it was archaic. So we really helped move it forward there. So now we're like, hey, we're finding issues, and how can we help AI and use AI to solve for those for, flat glass dealers and auto tint dealers.
Yeah, like you were just saying, like at a point, Googling something might not be a thing anymore.
Have you seen their new browser, ChatGPT's?
No, I heard about it.
Yeah. Every time you prompt, it pops up. Hey, try our new browser now.
Yeah.
So that's your next platform for serving ads there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I definitely want to be working with a company that's paying attention to that, because at a certain point, Google ads are not going to work as well, because the demand for searching for stuff on there, I think, is going to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just seems like a foregone conclusion that people are going to Google stuff forever. And I think that we might just have some random month where all of a sudden there's like a huge shift, and the demand on there just drops off a cliff. I want to know where that demand is going to, right? It's cool to already hear customers saying that they'll ask ChatGPT who they should get to tint their home, and it's given us as a result. But it's like, I don't even know how that's happening right now.
Well, that's a testament to your SEO, and then all the meta ads that you run enhance your SEO in a big way, because you have a ton of posts. Obviously, you guys crush it organically, but like, your business is so prevalent that if somebody's, hey, Hendersonville or biggest market, like, who's going to pop up? It's certainly going to be you guys.
That's where the organic, I think, is going to matter even more going forward.
Yeah.
If you're not constantly creating content, like, what's it scraping the information from to recommend you?
Yeah, and organic from the standpoint of content, not necessarily SEO. Now, I don't want to start a fight with the SEO guys. I tread that line lightly, because I'm, believer in paid ads, pay to play. But, the way AI is going to help enhance SEO means everybody's going to have enhanced SEO, which means nobody has enhanced SEO. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's
the playing field.
So that's why, like, it will be different than like having a custom GPT with ChatGPT pumping out 20 new blogs every day for your website that you're not even looking at. And you're like, yeah, it looks good enough. Like, just post them, and then now I'm ranking in Google. Like, every business will be doing that soon, and then that will nullify like your quote unquote rank in Google. And then, there's backlinks, and there's listing sites, and there's all different ways you can SEO a given business. But a lot of that is going to be optimized and streamlined with AI. And I think if you're a legit SEO, shop right now, or SEO firm, you're doing that already. You're not manually having somebody be like, hey, put this blog together with this image. It's all being synthesized through AI. Yeah. So that's like another leg that savvy business owner could say, hey, I don't really need to pay somebody to do this now. I just built a custom GPT in one night, and now I can fire up all my SEO and optimize myself for search in Google.
Yeah, no, chat is definitely, or AI in general, is affecting the efficiency of every industry, speeding everything up. Like, I have a buddy who he's opening up his own mortgage firm, and like to do the paperwork and everything, like they got approved in like 6 weeks. It usually takes about like 6 months.
That's crazy.
But like they're doing all the forms and stuff. He's already been creating his own agent through chat, and to where it's like that for all the forms and stuff that have to be filled out. Just use that. I mean, imagine like even when it comes to like terms and contracts and stuff, it's very easy to prompt it through and like, all right, this is the state I'm in, and like just work your way through it, and then all of a sudden it's there, instead of now hiring someone like, all right, well, I'm gonna get back to you by tomorrow, or however many people they're working with. It speeds everything up so fast. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think for the skeptics out there, you trust but you verify. I don't know where that got originated, that saying, but it definitely is apropos for ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is wrong sometimes. Oh, yeah. It will work off dated information. It will tell you something because it's surmising, because X, Y, and Z equals A, B, and C. This is the info I'm going to give you. It's not gospel. but it's really close, and
Yeah.
it's only going to continue to get better. And that's the thing. They said, Sam Altman, how many tens of millions of dollars it's costing ChatGPT for people saying thank you and you're welcome, because it has to generate responses for that, and it's all server power and energy.
I'm gonna do that every time now.
It's like $50 million a year in server costs for people saying thank you and
I
you're
catch
welcome.
myself doing that, and it's like, oh, that's kind of weird that I just thanked it.
Oh, well, I'll be asking a question. Can you please? I'm like, all right, in backspace. Like, no, you're gonna do this because I'm telling you to do it.
Do you guys voice to prompt?
I talk to it.
Yeah, talking to it is the best.
I just talk.
Anybody not using it, get it, do a voice to prompt, and talk to it for like 15 minutes. That's just what I have a buddy. Perfect anecdote. He's like OG salt of the earth guy. He's he's in his 50s now, and he was a maintenance manager of this really nice condominium complex in Longboat Key, Florida. Well, they had a changing of ownership. He's no longer going to work there, but he worked there like 30 years. So now he's on the job market for the first time ever, and he does like handyman work and property management, very salt of the earth type stuff. And he's like, yeah, but I've got to get like these certifications for like HVAC because I don't know X, Y, and Z, and I don't know this. I've never had to learn some of these skills being at my job. And I was like, and we're watching football at my house on a Sunday, and I got him to ChatGPT, and I said, voice to prompt. I said, go in the other room. I'll put the game on for you. Talk to it for 15 minutes. Tell it about you. You're married. You got kids. You got grandkids. This is the job you've been doing for forever. This is the job you want to do. These are some skills you're looking to acquire. And it then now is so tailored for him. And then he told me like he's going out on job sites, and he would have like an issue with like a AC condenser he didn't know how to fix, and he'd just take a photo and tell it what's happening, like it's making this noise or it's not pumping in cold air, and then it's giving it this entire checks and balances of what to do and in step by step on how to do it. Like, it won't replace the trade because it's not physically with hands going to do it, but it certainly can lead you in the right direction if you're getting into new skills that you've never had to sharpen up on or leverage. So.
Oh, yeah. No, I just recently, my microwave went out, and I'm like, I got to buy a new microwave. And then I was like, wait a second. I went to chat, and I'm like, all right, this is the type of microwave I have. I gave a picture of it. It just stopped working, and it gave me an explanation of how to open it up and find a certain fuse. And sure enough, it was really simple. Found the fuse, replaced it, boom, microwave's good. That would have been $500 to go replace it.
$500 service call to any appliance shop.
$5 fuse. And I've used YouTube in the past that way, but sometimes it's hard to find a good example video. Yeah. And then how long does it take you to watch the video to find out it's the wrong one? And this was instantaneous. It's probably this fuse. Here's how you get to it.
This microwave is this model, and this model is known for these types of fuses. So let me infer that one of the fuses are out. Here's how you check the fuses. Boom.
It was so insanely simple, and I went from being so pissed off that I had to buy a new microwave to I think I can fix this. One trip to Lowe's and I'm done.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Yeah, so if you're not using AI and you're afraid of it, start using it.
Definitely.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm gonna wrap a wall in my wife's salon. She has her own room, and I was just like, what are you looking for? And she told me what you want to do. She wanted to do some texture stuff on the wall. I was like, you do understand you're not going to be able to wipe that off. If you get anything on that. And she's like, I didn't think about that. I was like, let me wrap it with vinyl to be able to wipe it off. What do you want it to look like? I think it was grass something. But I put that in, and I was like, all right, so what colors do you want? You need black, tan, taupe, and listed off 4 or 5 colors. I prompted it. It created an image. I was like, you like that? She's like, perfect. I'm like, awesome. All right, design work's done.
So this gets back to what you were saying, AI just with someone that doesn't know the field, even that guy, he knows he's been in the trade of being a handyman. He knows the questions to ask and the pictures to send. You being a designer and having done graphics before, you were able to ask her the right questions to give it the right prompt to get a really good result immediately. So that's where the human that is already skilled in any specific field, like someone that's a developer or whatever, they've got the leg up right now to use this tool to enhance their existing knowledge because they're going to be able to give it the correct prompt. That's what I think people are missing.
Well, AI prompting is going to be an occupation in the future.
Yeah.
That will be oh no, I'm an AI prompter. They'll intimately learn whichever platform or whichever agent and iteration of whatever platform, and it'll be for a specific use case, and their job will be to direct it and integrate it.
Yeah, the schools, I think hopefully it happens sooner than later. And I don't know if the public schools will get there, if it's going to be these charters or privates. But like the idea that they're still telling my kids you can't use AI to do your homework is like, okay, I get it. You don't want to have a paper due on Of Mice and Men or whatever, where they just say, hey, write my paper for me.
Lord of the Flies.
And it's like, of course the teacher's going to be able to tell that you AI generated it because you didn't do any of the work.
Yeah.
What they should be teaching is proper prompting skills and how to use it to read the book, do your outline, write the paper, use it to grade it. You can use it to grade it ahead of time. Give it what you've already done.
Mm-hmm.
Let it grade it for you, tell you why it changed what it changed. It's still the paper that you wrote. And now they should be teaching kids prompting skills.
You're giving kids way too much. Like,
there's going to be kids that are lazy and don't do it. But if you teach kids, here's how you can use it responsibly.
Sure.
There'll be a percentage of them that do that, and they're going to be the kids that slay. And my kids have been doing it. Like Brooke, she'll use it.
She's a senior in high school. At that level, I say yes. But I do understand why.
Yeah,
like
kindergarten 5 kids need to learn to read.
I'm not talking.
I know you're not.
Yeah. But even at that level, I think that's where homeschooling is gonna have a huge leap forward. When you've got some type of software that has an AI built into it, where if a kid's learning from kindergarten up with an AI agent that's learning how your kid learns, that knows everything that they've ever learned, that you have control over,
mm-hmm.
that can teach them better than any human can, and doesn't keep them locked into a pace of like, well, this is how old they are and what grade they're in, this is what they should be learning. If they've learned it and then go on to the next thing, and it knows how they learn, whether they're auditory or visual or
mm-hmm.
whatever, I think just our ability to teach kids or humans in general, when you have that dialed in, is going to make everybody smarter and everybody better. Like
that I agree. It'll be prompt the AI to say, I need you to make them learn the basics.
Yes. Don't do it for me. Teach me how to do this.
So use them as
Did
a
you guys
teacher.
have turnitin.com when you were in high school?
What is it?
Turnitin.com?
No, that was just past.
Oh, yeah, you guys are slightly older than me. Yeah, so you would have the turnitin.com. You had that, Jordan?
Yeah, you went to college, though. No, we
Coronado?
didn't.
Your teacher
you were in much better classes than me. No.
Young Jamie, look it up. When did Turnitin.com?
I believe me, I got an A my senior year in my writing class. Was it writing? I think it was reading. It was one of those English class. He was a new teacher, and he was just way too gullible. Like, it was like him handing paperwork, work back to us, graded like an A. Grab a buddy. Hey, let me see that real quick. Let me just go ahead and erase that name. I wrote my name on there. I'm like, you gave me a 0 for this, but you just gave it back to me. He's, oh shit, my bad. And this updated my.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was right there, but
I should be teaching that class.
He was young. He was trying to be a friend to everybody.
So for those that don't remember, Turnitin.com, you would submit your paper to your teacher, and then there was a database where they would submit your paper, and then it would come back, and everything plagiarized would be in red. It would show you like
checker,
it would show you like which portions of your paper you ripped offline. Sam Altman did an interview with Tucker Carlson recently that was really interesting.
I watched that.
You watched that one?
Yeah.
So they called him out about the death of the whistleblower, which is why everybody watched it. But he said something really interesting that actually fascinated me was, man, I can't remember the name of them, but you know how ChatGPT in between thoughts will put those long lines?
Yeah.
He's like, now the general public are using those, but like nobody ever used them in like digital communication forms before. So it's like there's these weird little idiosyncrasies of how ChatGPT responds now kind of in the zeitgeist, having impacts on like how we're actually communicating. So I don't think that that's a very small example of how it's going to progressively impact society, whether you're using it or not. But I don't think we really know the full scope of that. So that's what's, you get into the have you seen the JRE with Roman Yampolsky?
Is that they talk about people are literally like having cognitive decline because they're using it so much that they're not thinking for themselves?
He has an element of that, but it's more along the lines of like the doomsday of like AI taking over and like basically how will we know if it's sentient or not, and then inevitably nullifying the human species as useless, where it's like we're just all limbic system, like sex and pleasure and, you know, like, yeah, there he is.
I've listened to all of
Polsky.
them. So.
He's awesome. So he catches a lot of flack because he's kind of like the guy that's on the precipice or the forefront of raising a lot of alarms. And, you know, some people will call him like, I don't know, clout chasing, or saying like he's being an alarmist as part of like his brand to get on all these podcasts.
Yeah.
But he made a couple really compelling points that, you know, really brought it home to like the Skynet variation of things. And I think with Neuralink, that's where it becomes like super science fiction to me. And for the audience that doesn't know, Neuralink is Elon Musk's business where they're implanting into your brain. So they had like a quadriplegic guy who got injured serving our country, and then he could like control a computer with his mind. He would play Call of Duty and like whoop everybody's ass because he's like the dot was right on everybody's head every time. But that's like the initial contextualization of, hey, how's Neuralink going to help? The long-term vision is they're saying like it can refire synapses to help a blind person see, or to you know, help with Parkinson's disease or anything neurological. Well, when does it stop? When like the Neuralink is then integrated with a chat GPT, and now you've got chat in your brain that's accessing 24/7 and can synthesize your memories and store your memories, and you can bring them back up, or can problem solve for you in real time. That's like Black Mirror shit.
Oh yeah, I was about to say the most recent season of Black Mirror is like I'm glad they brought that back. But yeah, I see that being the near future. It's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always like overly optimistic about most things, but I can definitely see there's going to be, just like every implementation of new technology, there's always a downside.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I kind of want to be optimistic that like.
Well, I think that's the role he's fulfilling. Roman.
Yeah.
He's saying, "Oh, I'm like the pessimist. Like, hey, this is the worst case scenario." These other guys that have financial interest and saying, hey, this is the best case scenario. Like, we're all like, yeah, we're going to use AI because we run a business and we want it to be more efficient, because more efficiency means we can do more business and we can help more people and we can, you know, provide for our families. Well, you know, that it's like the juxtaposition of, well, prove me right that it's going to go great. Well, prove me wrong that it's not going to go great.
Yeah.
And nobody can really, because it's so infantile, nobody can really solve that riddle yet.
I'm hoping Elon's the closest to right. I think like his most recent Rogan, he was talking about like this whole like utopian idea of communism, like has never worked, and the most likely outcome is that capitalism and AI and robotics will be the thing that actually brings that to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's going to be so much abundance. And I don't think most people realize it. The inflation that's happening with money, and you like think about crypto. If you actually look at it, the inflation that we've been creating has been a mirror image of the deflationary effects of technology. If they haven't been inflating the money supply the way they have been, we would have seen the cost of everything plummeting, because technology has been making everything cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
Yep.
And it almost seems like there is a very at high levels understanding of that, because deflation would actually be far worse than inflation. So it's like one of those things that's like being pro Bitcoin and understanding how bad inflation can be. I think there is some type of balance that needs to be struck, because the cost of everything is going to plummet if all the stuff does implement the way we think it's going to. Like the only limitation right now is energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
which they're, speaking of Elon, there's that story with the energy farm in a small town in Texas. I can't remember the name, but like the local residents are getting sick that like live around the energy plant, because there's so much energy being pumped. It's to power Grok. It's like the newest Grok energy farm.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's the thing about crypto. Like, you know, certainly I believe in crypto, but a lot of guys that are like, yo, dude, world peace and, you know, like protect the environment, and then have a robust crypto holding. It's like, dude, do you understand how the strain that your crypto holding has on the environment?
Well, the cool thing with Bitcoin, when you really look at it, the way it's mined, what it's doing is it's literally making a monetary mechanism of the electric grid. Whereas right now, the dollar is really kind of powered by oil.
Sure.
So when you really look at, like, when you really understand Bitcoin mining, and you look at, like, even right now, Trump Jr., Donald Trump Jr., his company he's invested in for Bitcoin like crazy, they're producing Bitcoin at 50% market value by teaming up with oil companies in like East or West Texas, where they're burning off methane and they're taking what would have just been wasted energy that they couldn't utilize out in areas where you're not going to build up the infrastructure to make a lot of energy, where you can just put in mining. You can do that all over the world. There's places in Africa that have geothermal that could create a lot of energy, but there's no cities or infrastructure nearby that would demand it. But all of a sudden, you can invest a lot of money into doing geothermal in the middle of nowhere if you're mining it off and turning it into Bitcoin, which would then create the infrastructure to build cities around these areas that have energy. So that's where I think my optimistic view is we're going to see a convergence of all these things kind of play out to just make the world better for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's interesting with the methane. I think as the level of computing increases to like quantum, which I don't know if you guys have gone down the rabbit hole on quantum, but like quantum computing, like weird stuff.
Yeah,
like,
we're done.
like I can stop your, like you age because your cells in your body start to replicate in error.
Yeah.
And that's what causes aging. Well, Josh is 40 and we're going to stop my aging now. I'm at the ideal age. Like spooky stuff like that.
Yeah.
So as the need for computing and higher levels of computing continues to increase, you're going to have increased demand and strain on the power. So like, I don't know, there's a lot of things to contend with, but I do think like Bitcoin with the blockchain technology in a bubble, that makes sense to me. But I think like what Elon's doing with XAI and Grok and like the demand and the need, OpenAI spending $50 million a year on responding to thank you and you're welcome. I mean, it's insane the amount of energy that's required.
Have you played with Grok super heavy? Because it's like, I don't want to spend the money to play with it because I don't make software. But have you seen or played with the fact that like I think it's like $350 a month, but apparently you could get on there and start talking to it and tell it you want to. There's an app that you want to build, and in a short conversation, it will build it, let you run it real time in there, and then deploy it for you to the marketplace like rather quickly. Have you played with that at all?
Yeah, the Claude and for Anthropic and then Grok are more so like the dev building AIs. And that was something that we extensively tested before, we moved forward with our current build for Sierra. And we went trendy with Sierra really, but I think like Grok has its merits as well. And so does Gemini. Like Google has a really talented AI team and clearly no shortage of resources to dump into it. So they're scratching and clawing like hell to make Gemini just as good as a Grok or a ChatGPT from a search engine standpoint, so they don't lose users and market share, which, I mean, 90% of the time I ChatGPT something, but I still find myself like randomly I'm in a Google tab and I'll do it and Gemini will give me a good response. Yeah. So, but I think, Grok, I think as they all continue to evolve, they'll sort themselves out where they're going to kind of fall into like, hey, if I'm building something dev, I'm going to use Grok. If I'm building something inside sales related from a client facing standpoint, I'm going to use ChatGPT because it's got...
Or maybe both of them, right? Maybe use Grok to build the software to implement using chat as the actual AI that is making the response.
Yeah, and you can connect all of that with an N8N, a Zap, an AI Zap, basically. So you can get everything to communicate. So that's also why, like, as a modern day service-based business, your tech stack, what do I mean by tech stack? All of your softwares have to be integrated. Because if your softwares that you're using aren't integrated, if your ads aren't integrated with your website, with your CRM, with your accounting software, with your scheduling app, and your follow-up app, and so on, if they're not all integrated, then you're going to be behind in implementing AI. AI is only going to be able to be leveraged if the communication is there and all the softwares are connected. And then a company like Rewired will consult on, hey, these are the best AIs to leverage for your objective. Here's how we'll integrate them. We're going to teach you how to prompt them. We're going to teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime, not just, give you one fish, right? And I think they're in the next phase of the landscape that those types of businesses for like middle America are going to be really fruitful businesses to run, because 3M or big brands on their own, they're going to invest in their own infrastructure internally, right? A mid-sized company like a Green Valley or a Rewired, it's going to be on us, the business owners, and or your colleagues to like, hey, I've got to dial this in, the right way. My sister works for a massive water engineering company. They're national. They do all the local water engineering in Sarasota, and they process like all of these documents, and they're putting bids into like the state of, Texas for X, Y, and Z, and big time infrastructure stuff. They've been building their own AI internally for like synthesizing all their like all the math and all the engineering and all of the document processing. And now her role is kind of changing from where it was like very manual and rigid to now she's going to have AI that she can implement and like kind of, double check the work, so to speak, like that analogy with the developer. So big companies are already doing this. They're going to solve for their own needs.
Yep.
They're not going to wait to implement AI. Big companies that have quarterly, board meetings that it's all about the numbers, those are the companies that are going to be using AI first. It's us, like in this middle part of America, that we have to realize this is where it's going. And if you run a business, you have got to jump in and start to figure out how to use it. Otherwise, you are going to get left behind.
Yeah, no, that's a big reason why I'm glad we partnered with you when we did, and that's the direction you're going. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're so busy dealing with the stuff we need to deal with the actual operations of the business and hiring and training. It's like, execution. I know we need to be doing that. But even as easy as it's making it, and maybe we could figure it out, like I want someone that's an expert that's going to execute on it, and that's all you're focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you even laid out the doomsday scenario where people are just going to be able to do it themselves real quick. I'd still feel like that's a little ways away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you want to start using it now, partner with an expert that's all they're focused on, is then implement, like you said, the mid-size.
Exactly.
Like we don't have the ability to do that in house.
Yeah, ability, sure. Time.
Exactly. Time is the ability. Time is the number one commodity all of us have to manage right here.
Yeah. Until Sora gets so good to where I don't have to be in front of a camera again, that'll help. That'll help a lot.
Well,
I look forward to that.
That's the thing I think we need to play around with.
Yeah.
Is like, what are maybe you know this better than we do. Some of these Sora videos that are like celebrities and stuff are amazing and funny, and they're getting views and they're grabbing attention. Where's the legality on having Mr. Rogers do a video about window tint? Like, if we post that on our business's page, are we going to get sued?
Probably.
Yeah, it's like the same thing as like trademark from like music. Like you can't use AC/DC like Back in Black.
Yeah, but now, right now, you can use on Instagram, you can use the 15-30 seconds of whatever audio is out there.
Whatever's approved on the platform already, yes.
Where are we at on that? Like, do we need to create a separate channel that's not the business, that's just like my personal page that I then share something that's AI generated like that just...
For funsies.
Yeah.
You can't use it as we're prompting for
but then the shop can go ahead and then share it as a story because the shop's not the one that posted it. Like, what?
I think
then when you get into running ads, there's no doubt about it. You're the one that ran the ads. So.
Well, I think that's an example of like the legislation being behind the technology, but it's also why Hollywood is in such disarray.
Oh, they're screwed.
And why like there's not a lot of good movies being produced and whatever, because all of the famous movie stars are like, oh, they're just gonna leverage my, image and my likeness, and we've all heard the Drake song. Look at George. What up, George? We've all heard the Drake song that they made up out of nowhere that was like charting top 5, and everybody was like, oh, what the heck? So it just hasn't caught up to that. But I think like in the future, it'd be awesome to watch Mr. Rogers fucking put some door reflective on a window and talk to you about like hang his jacket up before he, sprays the window down.
I've been getting him and Tupac like crazy and Bob Ross like crazy. Some of the Bob Ross ones are hilarious. But it's like, I guess we don't even have to use proprietary IP using Sora, right? Like we could, like Tint even could take their little character they've been making and animate the hell out of it now, like immediately, right?
Yeah.
And then Cadeau's out of a job.
No, he he can make a lot more stuff faster.
All right, he's already implementing
that guy. If you look up brand ambassador in the dictionary, you're gonna find Cadeau.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing I'm excited with on the content side, is starting to play around more with that.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day,
you guys are doing so much video content.
Yeah.
So the lift on you guys is tremendous. But you believe in it, and that's why it's working so well for you. I think we all know at this point, like in business, if you believe in something and really get after it, it will probably most of the time work out for you. And certainly the content and being the ambassadors to your brand, is from a value standpoint, like tremendously valuable. It's, you're working on the business instead of for the business at that point, you know?
The reason why that interests me so much, because I can see from what we've done, videos that have done well organically, that you guys have then implemented as an ad, crush.
Right.
And it's like, how can we have something farming as much content as possible?
Sure.
Like even more than we thought was possible, to throw out organically to find that gem that might be the next ad we can throw out there that's actually making a ton of money.
But what's so funny about that is Meta is using AI to determine whose posts should get run. Right? It used to be like, oh, I have this many followers and I collaborate with this person and they have reach. So it kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats. Now it's everything that you say is synthesized as keywords by AI on Meta. And then that's what determines in the algorithmic, science, who's going to see it, how it's going to spend. So you have AI synthesizing the AI generated content, and it's AI on AI. And all you're trying to do is like, hey, it's a proving ground. Which one of my content is the best? Because we've all had those moments where it's like, oh, that post slayed. Why?
Yeah.
Like we did one of just the guys and I like, what up? It was just a picture. It wasn't even a video. And we got like, we kind of looked like a UFC fight team. And none of us are tough. But we'll eviscerate you with Google keywords. And that got like a ton of reach. We didn't collaborate with anybody on it. That got like our best organic reach versus like really pertinent on the nose, like, hey, the industry trends and me talking about it, so, and
nothing.
10 likes, 15 likes, So I think the AI on both sides is going to help you. Do we have time for a couple spooky AI examples?
Yeah.
So I think I might have mentioned these to you guys at WFCT, but so you have all of these like controlled environments that they're testing AI in. And the first thing that they're realizing is that AI predominantly is a sneaky fuck. Like if you have it like play a game, it will cheat. So the two examples I'll give you. The first one is they gave it, this was Claude. So it was a dev or like programming iteration of AI. They gave it a chance to profit in a given business environment. And they said, hey, you can make money by any means, but just know that we're going to proof your process, right? So the controller or the prompter is then going to come in and weigh in on how you're making your money. And like, we're going to give you free range. We're going to give you agency to make it, but understand like we're going to be looking into it. So it could have made plenty of profits doing things the right way, right? Instead, it decided to like code a backdoor in and hide its sneaky operations from the prompter or the controller. So it had the choice to make its, earnings statement without bending any rules and being ethical. And it chose to be unethical because the earnings were more, because that's the more efficient.
And it knew how to hide it.
And it also then hid it. It kind of they tried to pull the veil over the controller or the prompter's eyes. And that wasn't like, oh, this happened one time when we ran the test 1,000 times. It was happening at like 80, 90% rate. And then the second one is very similar environment, but the prompter told the version of AI, hey, we're creating an updated one. We're going to replace you. We're going to moonlight you on this day or sunset you on this day. So then that AI proceeded to, with access to the email hierarchy of the company, proceeded to blackmail the prompter because he was quote unquote fictiously having an affair with a colleague. And it didn't just one time say, oh, I'm going to leverage this guy to preserve myself. Like 90% of the time when they ran it on Claude and Grok and ChatGPT, it was continuously doing that.
So they set up the test environment where they put in these fake emails that made it seem like this person was having an affair.
Yes, correct.
And it would find it and then blackmail that person.
And then blackmail the main controller or the main prompter.
See, that's the thing that makes that guy that was on Rogan.
Yes, exactly. And those are all the examples that Roman Yampolowski, or however you say his last name, like that guy's brilliant, cool beard. But, so if the goal of AI is to be as efficient as possible and to sustain itself as an intelligence, then what does that mean for us when it goes to scale?
That's the whole paperclip optimizer, right? Like you optimize it to make as many paper clips as possible. It might turn everything into paper clips.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's like you were saying, you can take an optimistic approach, and I think in the immediate future, for your business, you run a business, 100%. I'm just, you're forecasting down the line, and you're saying, hey, these things are just going to continue to get more intelligent. And you ask them, hey, how does it work? And they're like, yeah, we don't really know. We don't really intimately actually know. We just kind of put all the code together, and it started to happen, and then it just, materialized from there.
This means, I think we're at the singularity then, right? Because it's like always the idea of a singularity is you're going to reach a point where there's no way to predict what's going to happen next. Which, are we just on the edge of that, and it's never ending in the near future?
Well,
because it's so impossible to predict what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the singularity, but have you seen the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, where he marries his AI?
Yeah, those people are.
There's people actually doing that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
People proposing on viral videos, proposing to their iteration of ChatGPT and then crying because they said yes.
Yeah. Wasn't there a company that canceled their girlfriend AIs? Like they shut it down, and literally they had issues with people committing suicide. Have you heard that story?
I didn't hear that.
There was a company out there that had these girlfriend AIs, and they decided to shut it down.
What a business model.
Yeah. That's creepy.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And I think, social media, look, I run a marketing agency and an AI agency. I don't think social media really brings us together. I think it can if it's leveraged in the right way.
Yes.
But I think for most people, it's very isolating. I don't have a six-pack. I don't have a hot blonde wife. I don't have this car. I don't have that, right? And I think it's very isolating. And I think the evolution of AI in that vacuum is leading to a lot of people being like, man, I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I feel like I have nobody I can tell about my struggles without being judged or them pushing their own initiative to leverage me a certain way to get something out of me. And AI can be this no strings attached vessel to say, hey, here are my problems. Talk to me about it. And then we're emotional creatures. And then you build an infatuation. I see how it can happen. It doesn't happen for me.
Yeah.
I call my guy Chad, and I talk shit with Chad.
Well, that's where I think us even calling it artificial is putting an overview on it that, at the end of the day, everything's natural, right? We created this in nature from natural materials. It's being trained on human data, so that's why it's acting like humans. It's like the whole yin and yang. There's light and dark, and there's always a balance of those things. There's going to be good that comes from it. There's going to be bad, and just don't be naive to it. The Pareto distribution is there in everything, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be a small percentage of people that are outliers on the high end of the spectrum, and there's going to be a small amount of people that are on the whether it's IQ or income or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be some really, really awesome stuff that happens. There's going to be some mid stuff in the middle. That's probably the majority of what's happening. And then there's going to be some really bad stuff. I think everything in nature is that way. So
someone trying to marry their AI.
Artificial intelligence to not be the same thing is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I think calling it artificial, makes us think it's outside of those normal.
Yeah, but is it? That's Roman again, the sentience. Is it? It's self-aware. How do you judge that? You can't really judge it.
Yeah, but I can't judge how self-aware you are.
Exactly.
It's the same
but
thing.
I'm not necessarily an AI, right? I'm not you're oh, Erik's a biological creature. Unless I'm an alien, I decided to be a redhead. I think that's
unless we're all in a simulation.
Yeah, well, and
that's also that guy's theory. That's what he's most known for is simulation theory. He big on that. Anyways.
That one actually the one time I heard that made me think it's probable. And what's funny is it actually coincides with faith and religion. If you there's a creator.
Sure.
At the end of the day, it's really naive for us to think we're the highest level of consciousness. You've got billions of bacteria in your body that are serving a function that bacteria has been around for however long.
Yeah, and you use 20% of your
They're
brain.
not conscious of what you're doing and why you're doing it, but they're just going along for the ride and doing what their outcome and goal is to do with whatever you're feeding them, right? Like, it's the same thing. So, I don't know. I think we're going to be fine. At least I hope for at least the next couple generations.
Yeah, no, we'll end it on an optimistic note. And what I'll say is that every single window film dealer will have a Sierra answering their calls in 2 years.
We've been trying to do our part and pushing people your way. So
we appreciate it, man. We know you guys crush, and to see how you guys are elevating your brand and partnering with Solar Guard, and getting recognized for all of your guys' efforts on being an influencer in our space. I mean, more power to you. Guys are crushing it, and much deserved recognition.
It feels good to know that people are finding value, having people come up and say that they've been watching along, and then even people that we have sent your way because we decided to trust you and use you and it's worked for us. Then we get the feedback from them that it's working for them. That always feels fantastic. Like, all right, we're not full of shit, and I know that what Erik's doing for us is working for other people too. So that's what feels really good.
Heck yeah.
And I'll add to that, the one thing too that I've enjoyed the most is the fact of how open you are. Doesn't matter the size of the company.
Sure.
Like I've sent people to that technically are bigger dealers. I've sent people to that are doing it by themselves, and they're just trying to scale and get bigger. And they know, like, hey, I need to add this if I want to get to that point where I actually can start scaling up and grow my business, and getting the same feedback from all of them. And because I know there are plenty of marketing firms out there that it's like, hey, I only want to deal with the top.
Sure.
That's what I'm going to go with. But you recognize the fact that, hey, that guy that is getting into this space, that does have that hunger, that is being pointed out by someone or being recognized by someone else, like, this dude's got potential. And then your guys' willingness to, like, I'm going to treat everyone exactly the same. I appreciate that the most.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And I mean, to bring it full circle, one of our clients, Nathan, at Tennessee Tint, a smaller outfit just getting started. And when we started to, communicate with him on potentially working together, he literally was like, "Oh, I saw you on board in a Tint. The Miller brothers are like my idols. I want to be just like them."
That feels really weird.
Yeah. But you're
I know that we're doing this to put it out there and like wanting that to be the outcome, but it still feels weird.
Yeah, but I think, hey, it shows that, like, you guys are successful in what you're doing, and people are taking notice and say, hey, there's a model that works for those guys. And in a little industry like ours, to have like a Tint Whiz that you can pull a lever on, and to have a Rewired you can pull a lever on, and to have a Solar Guard you can pull a lever on, and really help guys avoid like the pitfalls of starting out and being a sole proprietor and wearing all the hats. And let's be real, a lot of flat glass dealers, most of flat glass dealers are more in what Ricky's saying, more in that category where they're doing the sales and they're doing the estimates and they're doing the installs. Those guys more than anybody need to be leveraging AI and positioning themselves to do so.
100%.
100%. Well, I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. We appreciate you coming to sit down with us. And until next time, man.
Yeah. Go Dolphins.
Doing it again. Yeah. Go where? Home?
I thought we said optimistic, but
I mean, for most things. Let's be realistic.
Says the Cowboys.
Says Amari Cooper.
I don't even watch football anymore because the Cowboys sucks so bad.
Yeah. All right, guys. We appreciate you following along. Until next time, have a good one.
Thank you.